I'm back here because I want to clarify one thing quickly. That is the Zionist name Sanjalat9695. Simply put, this is a prime example of what I'm talking about here. This Zionist does not know what the hell they're talking about. Even if you're not a Zionist, they're a Zionist supporter. You may say, then, how can I support that? It's really quite simple. They have an anti-Arab sentiment. For example, point 1. They said, why are you hiding your face in your thumbnail? Are you afraid of your views? Here's the funny thing about this, is that if I was afraid of my views, I would not publish it in the first place. Even having my voice and skills being put towards this in the first place shows I'm not scared. 2. Israel is telling civilians to leave the north of Gaza to prevent their deaths. How is that a catastrophe? I will go into that because I got some information to cover this point. Hamas is telling them to stay. What is more kind? What is more kind to civilians? Who is trying to save civilians and who's trying to get them in harm's way? This is not about Hamas or not about Hamas. Even if they left, they'll still be doomed. The issues surrounding Palestine is seriously great. They have massive issues surrounding the problems of security, as I will go into. And then here we go. Sadly, all this information is giving is our propaganda. Al Jazeera is propaganda of government of Qatar. Here's the funny thing. That's why I can tell you are not watching the video. And that's what you are a Zionist troll or Zionist aligned troll, because I only used 2 Al Jazeera articles in this one. The rest were of other and varying sources, and at the end of the day, I used the Al Jazeera 01 for the main intro because they were the best to describe it. If you did it under a more Zionist friendly source, it would have decried and essentially looked down upon Palestinians. And as I repeat here, when I said to him, let me find quickly, about the catastrophe, they was on point. They have to abandon homes, have to potentially they have to abandon homes, have them potentially destroyed and futures destroyed. The destruction, if Gaza won't be restructured by them, most likely, and when I say that, I mean the Israeli end, and the problems will still remain. The politics of Zionism already seen them as subhuman. This is true if you actually observe what Zionist politics is. This is what is called by Palestinians as the impact will further entrench issues, as the IDF will only kill more or potentially displace more. So statistics around the occupied areas is already bad. And even after the move, what is there to say when they return to normal life? Nothing. I'm sorry for the spelling. I just was tired at the time. Sorry about that. But that's my point. I will now go into the statistics and why I say that. And I'm making this just in case any of Zionist troll attempts anything. What you're about to see is not Hamas soldiers. These are not terrorists. These are only mourners.
Norman, sorry to interrupt you. As you can see that the police there, that there's already some trouble. They're beating the crowd back here. While the casket has been taken through the gates there, they're holding back large numbers of the crowd. But I'm not sure what's going on here. You can see these pictures too, right? Marwan speaking. We can't hear him. Hang on a second.
And this is the thing: if you want to say Al Jazeera is an Arab propaganda thing, who else is covering this? Al Jazeera isn't making this shit up. As you saw here, Israel is attacking mourners, innocent people. Can you see anyone in that crowd being armed? Continue.
Well, I think we can hear you now.
I have never seen security forces attack a funeral with such audacity, with such chutzpah, the way this scene is evolving right now in front of us. They are just trying to carry, and they're trying to bury one of their own, and the police is there as if there is an enemy ahead of them. It's their own victim being buried, and here they are with such an incredible rudeness. Again, I mean, I have reported, I have analyzed, I've looked at news throughout the world for decades, and I've never seen.
Alas, look at that. What were they doing specifically? They're just wanting to bury a body. Were they armed? No.
A scene like this, look at that. Attacking innocent people, carrying a casket. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say anymore. What are they expecting now? This is unbelievable. Unbelievable.
And do you now understand why there is a response in terms of the Palestinian end? Let's go over statistics, shall we? 58% of the population, adult population, exhibit symptoms consistent with depression, according to the Wellbeing Index. This is 71% in Gaza and 50% in the West Bank. In addition, 77% of adults in the West Bank and Gaza screen positive for PTSD based on a syndrome score. The Gazan population is more likely to be exposed to traumatic experience than Palestinians in the West Bank. According to the survey, 65% of Gazans compared to 35% of West Bank residents have been exposed to traumatic events in the past 12 months. But Gazans are less likely to exhibit symptoms that are consistent with PTSD than West Bankers. This implies that instead of experiencing PTSD, the trauma of Palestinians, particularly Gazans, could manifest in widespread depression and anxiety. The exposure of trauma is reinforced by the economic disempowerment and loss of sense of agency in the context of high unemployment with a lack of job economic prospects. At the end of 2022, unemployment stood at 24% nationally, but this masks a stark disparity, with unemployment at 35% in Gaza compared to 13% in the West Bank. Young people in Gaza face extreme high levels of economic exclusion, with youth unemployment rate in the Strip of nearly 70%. PPCS results show a clear relationship between labor force status and risk of depression. Having a job and working time is correlated with lower depression syndrome score. That demonstrates a strong correlation between food consumption and consumption scores. And psychological distress, lower food security is strongly correlated with higher psychological distress. 2. The annual report compiled, this is a Zionist website, but it still says point, fine. Compiled by the UN Sustainable Development Solution Network, ranked 109 nations by how happy their citizens perceive themselves to be. The World Happiness Report rankings are based on 6 key areas gross. You can read the rest. Finland is Finland. Israel is ranked 4th. By comparison, the United States is ranked 15th, and Palestinian territories, they're trying to deny it as they said Palestine by saying inaccurately referred to Palestine, 99th. That says there is also an extreme happiness issue. 3. A merchant residing in the North Gaza district told after crazy price hikes in food, the purchasing power of customers have decreased, mainly because they cannot buy basic products and pay their debts at the same time. As a result, sales at my shop has decreased by 40%. In another testimony, food importer told that there has been a remarkable increase in prices of basic commodities, especially flour and sugar, as a result of Russian-Ukrainian conflict, which caused many traders to be unhappy to pay the costs of the imported goods, because customers, especially those with limited incomes, have become more indebted. Furthermore, as the rate of sale of non-essential foodstuff has decreased, many merchants have begun to sell their commodities at lower prices of market value. Moreover, figures published by the Palestinian Central indicate that the poverty rate in the ship has reached 53%, with 1/3, 33.7%, of Gaza residents living in extreme poverty. Rising prices are accommodated by widespread unemployment, poverty, and extreme poverty rates, with data indicating that approximately 64% of households in Gaza are food insecure. In January 2023, the UN for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs reported that 58% of Gaza Strip residents required humanitarian aid, and large numbers of households are subject to severe, extreme, or catastrophic conditions. On top of the closure, Israeli repeated indiscriminate military attacks on civilian infrastructure, include industrial facilities and agricultural holdings, have all contributed to the deterioration of the economy and humanitarian situation, with Gaza still slowly recovering after the Israeli aggression in 2014, 2021, and 2022. 4. Life expectancy is lower in occupied Palestinian territories. In 2022, life expectancy in West Bank and Gaza was 75.4 years for females and 73.2 for males. In comparison, Israeli life expectancy was 85.1 for females and 81.8 for males. In East Jerusalem, where Palestinians have more freedom of movement, who can also access Israeli healthcare systems. Life expectancy is close to the average Israeli of 81.9 and 78.1. Israel is one of the world's best healthcare systems, ranking alongside countries, yada yada yada. People living in occupied Palestinian territories were 3 times more likely to die from non-communicable diseases between the age of 30 and 70 than of the Israeli counterpart. A survey of infant mortality found that Palestinians were 4 times likely to die before the first birthday than Israelis, 5 if the child was born in a refugee camp. And ultimately, 5. When facing poverty, researchers found individuals enter a scarcity mindset. When focused on short-term survival, your decision-making ability is scrambled and your attention narrows band. The attendant worry is the long-term planning and completion of routine tasks is downgraded as an immediate future becomes the only focus. Debt counselors has found that for years, people were struggling for debt to understand how they end up this way, only knowing that many short-term financial crises have snowballed. When you completely poor and struggling to make ends meet, the scarcity effect permeates all decisions. Any discussion of food poverty invariably segues into the denunciation of anyone who doesn't like meal plans in advance, buying ingredients in bulk, and cooking from scarce. Outbursts are overshadowed by judgment. This is talking about the UK, but it's still very important for this narrative. Cheap and filling meals are rarely nutritionally valued, but being aware of how little money is available means it makes more sense in the short term to spend a little for one day's food than a lot for several days' food when you don't know when you're receiving any income. Perhaps most damaging in the long term is the findings that how people feel about themselves when they're in poverty. They're less confident about their ability to succeed, leading to decreased professional and educational attainment. Depression and anxiety. The study also reported a negative self-stereotyping effect whereby people in long-term poverty absorbed the prevailing media stereotypes of them on behalf of facing unemployment as being low in worth and low in competence, believing themselves to be fundamentally flawed any achievement is tempered by the lack of confidence and subconscious self-loathing. This is also true for children in poverty who underestimate their own intelligence and capability, which then becomes a self-sustaining prophecy. The recent Institute of Education Study found that teachers also attribute negative characteristics to children in poverty are perceived to be less able. If children internalize the stereotypes projected on them while so young, it does nothing to boost their life chances. That says it all. And that is all I will say. If you still want to be like a Zionist, I really can help you.